Yeah.
It's George.
It's Elaine.
Come on up.
Hey, Vinny, listen to...
I never heard anything like this in my life. Listen to this.
This is exciting! This is exciting! Huh? Did I miss anything already?
Kramer, get in.
Kramer! Where's the crazy man?
Hey, sit down. Come on, it's about to start.
Boys! Hello and welcome to Seincast, a retrospective on all 180 episodes of Seinfeld, being hosted by two guys who can barely run their own lives. My name is Vinny.
My name is Matt.
Matt, how are you?
I am great. I gotta say that intro with the boys. I thought it was funny when we kind of got out of our last episode when I said that.
Can I do it again?
Well, no, it was a nice bridge between the episodes, but watching the episode itself, when Jerry does that, I hate it.
Yeah.
Is it annoying?
It's you cringe when you hear him say it.
A little bit. Anyways, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm on no sleep, bro.
Really?
No, I just started my new job this week, so I'm trying to get into the swing of things.
And your new job is what exactly?
Pharmacist. So I'm just learning how to, I work 2 to 10, and then I come back and work 8 to 4 the next day. Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff.
Have you recommended anyone try a antihistamine?
Yeah, oh, they're great. They're over there. Have a great day, sir. What about appetite suppressants? So when I was becoming a pharmacist, when I thought of what job I wanted to do when I did a career change, in the back of my mind, I wanted to do something that was involved in the world of Seinfeld. Like I thought of dentist, I thought of pharmacist. I wanted something healthcare, but I also wanted it to be relatable to Seinfeld.
Did you I imagine you sitting at a coffee table and being like, "Oh, dentist, I could be a dentist."
I had a checklist.
Mm-hmm.
I could be a talk show host. I could do that.
Yeah.
What about a color man? Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go. You got any news?
Yeah, we got a little bit of news.
Hey, I got news for you.
Great news.
All right, I got news. You ready?
What?
We didn't cover this last week, my bad, but Jerry Seinfeld was on Real Time with Bill Maher on September 12th, 2014, during a live show in D.C. Jerry was sort of the guest they bring on at the end, where they have sort of like a little one-on-one interview, and he was great, really, really funny. It was kind of cool seeing him in being the one interviewed, because usually on his Comedians in Cars, he's the one hosting it, interviewing the other person.
Yes.
But we'll play a clip here.
You famously once said that you wanted to have kids because everyone you knew was on to you. So
Yes.
you had to create someone who wasn't on to you?
Yeah, oh boy, that's a really old bit.
Are your kids on to you?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So even that's over.
I'll give you
So no, everyone you know is on to you.
Yeah, everyone.
Okay.
This is an exact quote from my son who was 11. We were talking about words, we were making up words for fun. And then I said, bragging a little bit, I said, your dad has made up some words that have caught on. Mm. And he said, really? Like what? Unfunny? He's 11. 11.
Wow.
Took me out at the knees.
If you're not really into politics, or if you're turned off from Bill Maher, I recommend giving this interview a watch, because there's a lot of great stuff in there, regardless of your political affiliation.
I didn't even pick up on that. I was just noticing that the great jokes that Jerry was doing during the interview.
So we'll include most of the interview in our show notes. You can check it out there. We'll also post on our Facebook and Twitter page. Vinny, you have a little bit of news for us this week, too?
I do. Remember a couple weeks ago we talked about Larry David writing and starring in his first Broadway play. It's called Fish in the Dark, and tickets have gone on sale. You can visit fishinthedark.com. Previews start February 2nd, and the play opens March 5th at the Court Theater, 138 West 48th Street. Do you know where that is?
I don't know the theater exactly. I'm sure if I walked down 48th, it'd be like, oh yeah, that theater. But, I'm just looking at the prices. It's like, my God, no wonder.
A little pricey.
Yeah, my wife and I don't go to see shows that much anymore. They're ranging anywhere from $49 to $155. So
there's a discount ticket for groups.
Oh yeah? What's a discount?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Maybe a little Seincast field trip.
Just assault Larry David with a microphone when he steps out.
There you go.
Actually, that's the way to do it. Just don't go to the show and wait outside for the cast to come out and be like, oh, I love the show. Can I get a photo?
Great. What was your favorite part? The fish?
Cool. Well, again, we'll put these links in our show notes. All right, well, that's going to do it for Seinfeld news this week. Vinny, what episode are we discussing today?
We were talking about the 8th episode of Season 2, The Apartment. It was written by Peter Melman. It was actually Peter Melman's first episode, and it was directed by Tom Schronis, originally airing on April 4th, 1991.
And as usual, for everyone listening, Vinny and I are following the episode order on our DVDs, which might contradict the air date order or most online episode guides. So we just highly recommend that you pick up Seinfeld on DVD, all 9 seasons, or the box set. The people who put these together did just an awesome job, and I don't know, they're sitting on my shelf right now, Vinny. Do you keep yours out in the open?
My boxes are in my parents' house,
my
but I have the discs in a Case Logic book here at my house. So
For easy access.
there you go. I need to get to those Seinfeld discs right away.
Totally.
Can't be bothered with the plastic.
Now, you mentioned this was Peter Melman's first episode. Prior to this, Peter Melman was just known as the writer of articles published in Esquire and New York Times, and he was brought on by Larry David to, I think, just write this one episode for the season.
The original idea that Peter Melman had for this episode was Elaine thinking about moving away from Manhattan, and this decision would force Jerry to think about his relationship with her. Jerry and Larry both liked the idea, but the writing staff of Seinfeld, Jerry, Larry, and Larry Charles, thought it would be funnier to twist the idea and have Elaine move closer to Jerry rather than further away. So this was the only storyline that Peter Melman had to go with. Jerry and Larry approved that idea, and they said, go ahead and write an episode. And Peter Melman noted that this was unlike any other show that he worked on, where normally the writing staff gives you beat by beat of what you have to do, and as a writer, you just have to fill in the dots, fill in the blanks.
Yeah, it's really amazing how Larry and Jerry, and I guess Larry Charles in a sense, would just sort of trust someone to run with this. Run with just a small idea and really see what they bring to the table. It's a true test to see, like, do you have a clear understanding of what the show is? Or maybe they didn't have a clear understanding and they were just really open to any ideas.
I have a feeling they just really like those Esquire and New York Times articles, and I'd like to see what they were like back in the 90s or the 80s, I guess, what Peter Melman was writing about. Because I have a feeling Jerry and Larry just really took to it, to his style of writing, and said, we got to get this guy, or at least see what he's about.
Yeah, it's something I should have looked into before we started recording, but I'll see if I can find those articles online, and we can include those in our show notes if we can find them. Now, the idea of George's wedding band, that was something that Peter Melman came up with on his own. Like, all he had to run with was the Elaine storyline. So
yes. And he thought to himself, he wondered if women were really attracted to men with wedding bands because they were considered safe. Mm-hmm. So he thought he'd slap that storyline on George.
I've got to say, as a married man...
yeah, tell me about that.
I did think of this storyline when I got married, like, as I'm on the altar. I'm like, oh, can't wait for all these women to start hitting on me.
That's right.
But it has run past my mind, the idea of wearing a wedding band, like how I interact with women. I mean, the way I've interacted with women, I think, has changed dramatically. I actually, for once in my life, feel like confident.
Yeah.
Because I'm not worried about impressing them.
Well,
I guess
you've already got your lady.
Yeah, so I'm not feeling like insecure, like I have to, really impress them in any way. But I, without a doubt, have not gotten the sense that women have hit on me because I'm married. If anything, I feel like women wouldn't hit on you, or at least most women, I would think in my mind, wouldn't hit on a married man. I don't know. Do you think that's accurate?
See, I can't speak for the women's perspective. I don't know what it's like to see a married man and say, "Oh, he must have something going for him," and then flirt with him. I don't know if that's the case, but I do know. I have a friend who, I was single. He was single for a while. He got a girlfriend in the past couple months, and his confidence has shot up. And when he talks to other beautiful women around, he is like a different person. Like, he's great. He's completely uninhibited.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like so tight because I'm single. So I do get that. Being a married man, you have this new air about you that you don't care because you already have your girl.
Right. So interesting that I guess Peter Melman wanted to at least explore this with the George character, and I think it totally works for the purposes of the story. I think it's great. Oh
yeah. So to cap up this little behind the scenes story with Peter Melman, there is a wonderful end to Peter Melman getting hired on Seinfeld.
I turned in the script to Larry and Jerry, and Larry said, we'll call you in a couple of days. We're not going to be able to read it for a couple of days. And then I drove home, and I got on my answering machine, I turned on my answering machine, and it was Larry going, we were lying. We read the script as soon as you left. It was fantastic. We loved it. You're terrific. Welcome aboard. So it was very gratifying. And, I did have a sense that suddenly I was launched into a whole new career.
How cool is that you're interviewing with Larry David, you hand in your work, and by the time you get home, you got a phone call and he's praising your work? Like, what a feeling.
That feeling, though, of Larry David telling you, though, and you, like, turn in the script, like, oh, it's going to take us a couple of days to read this.
Yeah.
But then knowing he was lying.
And the fact that he actually tells him, yeah, we were lying. Like, most people would just be like, hey, we happened to read the script.
Yeah.
It was great. But no, he's like, no, we were lying. Who does that?
Yeah, it's... yeah, I think it would kind of frustrate me a little bit, but, yeah, only Larry David could pull that off, I feel. That idea of just being brutally honest and kind of letting you into his own neuroses, like the fact that he had to lie to him.
Yeah.
In a sense, just to play a game.
He's being part of polite society, yet he's kind of pulling the curtain back and giving us a peek at what's really going on in there.
Also interesting to note that this episode was the first to air after Cheers originally. The show took a bit of a break, and when it came back, this was the episode, and thanks to the high-rated show like Cheers, it really helped Seinfeld's ratings. So it was around this time of this original air date that NBC commissioned the third season. Something also interesting to note is that this is the first episode where Jerry's apartment changes to 5A.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that while you're watching the episode.
For sure.
I wonder why the change happened. What was wrong with, what was it before, 5E?
It was 3A.
3A.
It was the third floor. So jumping up to 5A, so he went up 2 floors. I don't know if that's the plot line or if, I'm not entirely sure why. Like, did that have something to do with the lane?
A conscious decision was made to change that number and letter. Well, no letter.
Mm-hmm. But in the episode order we're watching, it will stay 5A for the rest of the show. Whereas if you're following most online episode guides, you would notice that it would jump between 5A and 3A because the episodes were aired out of order. All right, I think we've given enough background info on the episode. Let's get into the apartment.
Well, I painted my apartment again. I've been living in this apartment for years and years, and every time I paint it, it kind of gets me down. I look around and I think, well, it's a little bit smaller now. I realize it's just the thickness of the paint, but I'm aware of it. It just keeps coming in and coming in. Every time I paint it, it's closer and closer. I don't even know where the wall outlets are anymore. I just look for like a lump with 2 slots in it. Kind of looks like a pig is trying to push his way through from the other side. That's where I plug in. My idea of the perfect living room would be the bridge on the Starship Enterprise. You know what I mean? Big chair, nice screen, remote control. That's why Star Trek really was the ultimate male fantasy, just hurtling through space in your living room watching TV. That's why all the aliens are always dropping in, because Kirk was the only one that had the big screen. They come over Friday nights, Klingon boxing, gotta be there.
I gotta say, that's very accurate. Like, I'm a huge fan of the original Star Trek series, and I saw online someone spent, I think, like, well over $1 million to totally refurbish their house into, like, the original Star Trek Enterprise bridge. And it's incredible. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it is beautiful. Just in terms of, like, as an entertainment center. Like, if you had that, captain's chair to sit in and watch TV, it would be brilliant.
Well, it's funny because this ultimate male fantasy, a lot of people have this nowadays with these home entertainment theaters with they got stadium seating in their house, 70 plus inch flat screen. Some guy on Reddit I saw did a Bat Cave, based on Batman. He did his own basement kind of thing. So yeah, it's a reality now.
Wouldn't it be incredible if one day?
I think I know where you're going with this.
We're living, we have a nice big house, just you and me, and we have our basement, right? And we turn the basement into, what would be better, Jerry's apartment or the Monk's coffee shop?
I want Jerry's apartment.
Really? I think I'm more of a Monk's coffee shop guy.
Oh, get out of here.
Well, at least like maybe like a booth, and like some kind of like setup like Monk's. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I guess Jerry's apartment is more.
It's perfect for a basement layout because you could treat like the kitchen like a bar. Put your Hennigans under the shelf kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to get Tom Azari. Is it Tom Azari or Tho Azari?
Oh, the production designer?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I've heard it and seen it both ways.
I think it's Tom.
Okay. Anyway, But if you could get him to get those plans for the layout of the apartment and then decorate your basement in that motif.
All right, Vinny, tell you what, 50 years, if you're not married, we get hitched.
We're engaged.
First proper scene of the episode is at Jerry's apartment, and we open with this. There's a lot of this in the early episodes, but just this weird shot of Kramer just standing there with this bizarre hairdo.
I moosed up.
And he feels like he's had two lives, his pre-moose, and now he begins his post-moose.
And then Kramer goes, "Have you ever seen a better looking guy?" And Jerry responds with, "Looks are just so subjective."
What is up with this scene here? I don't get this at all. Like, it's a bizarre way to enter.
Yeah, well, again, I don't agree with Kramer getting moosed up because the high hair is working. Maybe that was just the storyline they needed. They needed something for Kramer because remember they've been struggling to get him meaty storylines.
He's definitely a foil in this episode. Like they definitely amp up his role, even though it's like incredibly annoying. He definitely has more to do. But yeah, I just thought this was such a bizarre way to start the episode. I guess you need to start it on some kind of joke or some kind of humor.
Yeah. One thing I also noticed is that Kramer's character is very concerned with his looks, or at least he's very confident in being a good-looking man. Mm-hmm. So in season 4, the handicap spot, Kramer's talking about the woman she said, that he was dating that was in the wheelchair. He said I'm not good-looking enough for her. Not good-looking. Jerry, look at me. Look at my face, huh? Am I beautiful? George, am I beautiful?
You're very attractive.
Thank you. And then in Jimmy, Elaine asks the boys if they can find beauty in another man, and Jerry says he finds men repugnant and unappealing, to wit, as Kramer walks in. But there's multiple instances where Kramer's talking about how good-looking he is.
Is moose still in fashion, though, or at least is it still used by people?
You are asking the wrong person, my friend. You jerk.
No, but I'm just curious though. Like, I mean, your sister.
I think people use hair gel more than mousse.
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is.
I think mousse is just it's very crusty. It creates like a shell.
And mousse comes in those aerosol cans, which are not good for the environment. So I'm assuming those are kind of, have been phased out.
Yeah.
Don't take us. I don't know. We don't know what we're talking about.
Elaine interrupts the conversation. Of course, she doesn't mean to, but she starts setting up the episode. I'm noticing when we really start overanalyzing these scenes, you can really tell structurally when you have a joke and when you have a little bit of exposition.
You're right. Yeah, this is plot coming up.
So she's telling Jerry about her friend having a party for the New York Marathon, and Kramer has this moment here where he interrupts her, and he's like, "Oh, I was meaning to enter that." And you noticed he pulls like a Twizzler out of his pocket.
I thought it was beef jerky, but it could be a Twizzler.
Well, it just got me thinking. Like, I mean, we overanalyze the show enough, but I really look into Michael Richards' performance more than anyone else's because I feel like he had just so little to work with, and he brought so much himself. Part of me thinks like that Twizzler or beef jerky, whatever he was eating, was from the craft service table for the show, and he just was like, "I'm going to use this in this scene to like just bite into it at one point." Because it just seems so specific for Peter Melman to put that in the script that, and it also just feels like such a random thing to come up. I feel like that's all Michael Richards right there.
It's whoever did it. It's absolutely brilliant because he chomps down on that thing and it whips out of his mouth, and it's so comical. I'd love to see a GIF of just that. Can you make a GIF? Can you make that and have it cycle?
I haven't learned how to make GIFs yet. I'll get there, though, because I would love to start creating GIFs for every episode we talk about and just start posting them like crazy.
So Kramer, he never does the New York City Marathon, but he eventually participates in the AIDS walk.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So he's still giving back.
Mm-hmm. Elaine goes on to talk about the party at her friend's house, and she lives, this woman who we know as Roxanne, she has a perfect view of the race, and she can invite some friends. So, boom, got that plot set up out of the way.
Oh,
but
all right.
All of a sudden you hear arguing from the hallway, and it's, of course, Harold and Manny, but you notice, like, Elaine looks a little confused. She's like, what is that? Mm-hmm. And Kramer looks confused, too, which confused me because Jerry seems to know who it is already, before going out there. Wouldn't Kramer know who it is, too?
You would think.
Yeah. Anyways, just a nitpick.
Good one.
Yeah, I know. We're really delivering this episode. Of course, Jerry goes out and he says his classic,
Boys! I'm Jerry.
So now we're introduced to Harold and Manny. These are the first landlords of the building. Harold is played by actor Glenn Shaddix, who actually passed away in 2010. And Manny is played by Tony Plana. Glenn Shaddix, he was actually the voice of the mayor in Nightmare Before Christmas. He was in Carnival. He played the Councilman Val Templeton. He was in Beetlejuice. He also worked with Jason Alexander twice in Dunstan Checks In. Well, I actually thought that was a cute movie when I was growing up.
I've never seen it.
Jason Alexander's he runs a hotel and he's got a son.
I remember the trailer.
All right. I thought it was cute. And he also did a voice in the animated Duckman series,
which is a great show.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Funny little bit of trivia. Harold was actually scripted to return later in season 2. He was supposed to reappear in The Revenge, but his scene was cut before it was filmed.
So what I was trying to gather was, would he have been talking about Newman, like instead of Kramer saying that Newman jumped off the roof, would it have been Harold? Or he didn't jump off the roof, but he threatened to jump off the roof.
Yeah, but didn't they say that Newman was the son of the super? Wasn't that the storyline, or was was an old storyline that was abandoned? I can't remember.
You're right. That was the plot line, I think, at least in not the heart attack, the suicide episode.
Okay, but maybe Harold and Newman would have been related in some fashion.
Oh yeah, maybe that's true. At least there are these loose sort of like story and character elements that just never really solidified. But I kind of would have liked. I know we're kind of jumping ahead. We could talk about this at the end, but I kind of wish that Harold came back. The dynamic between the two, Harold and Manny, is a bit weird. Like, it doesn't really work for me. This whole arguing, bickering. I actually thought for the longest time that they were a couple.
Yeah, I get that feel too. The way they argue.
I mean, just because the actor Glenn Shaddix was gay, but there's something about just the way they bicker with each other. It's like this, and the fact that they're so different in appearance makes me feel like they are a couple.
Yeah. He's like, well, it's true, and I don't want a big sponge. Like they're bickering like a old married couple.
Mm-hmm. Did you notice too that Tony Plana, who played Manny, he looks like a Cuban Spike Lee.
Yeah, he does. His black rimmed glasses and the Yankees hat.
And even a little bit of facial hair. We'll put a side-by-side shot up online. Sorry to get back to my point, though. I really would have liked to have seen Harold return in this show. I like the actor a lot, especially just from Beetlejuice is probably what I know him best as. But he's, I don't know, there are these little moments, these little characters in these early episodes that you could see their place throughout the series. You could just see him come back, I don't know, maybe once a season or so. And it's just a shame that they couldn't make that happen. But one other thing before we move on was I know we meet another super in a later episode, Julio, in the Kiss Hello, when, Jerry won't have his photo taken for the lobby. Mm-hmm. And Julio kind of gets in a fight with him, like,
it's a big building, Seinfeld.
Yeah. So he's
take care of the people who are actually civil to each other.
So he's civil. Oh, and what am I talking about? Silvio. Is he the landlord?
I thought Silvio was the super, and then I thought Julio was just a building maintenance guy. I didn't think he actually ran the building.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. But so maybe those are the two characters though that are similar to Harold and Manny in any way. I don't think we meet anyone else, right, from the building.
So Harold asks Jerry, he's like, do you want anything from Mrs. Hudwalker's apartment? Which is kind of an odd way to bring up that Miss Hudwalker died.
That's what I like about him so much. Like, there's enough kind of like camp humor with him.
He's really open.
Yeah, I like that.
So Mrs. Hudwalker, she lived in the apartment above Jerry. She was 94. Oh, and Harold says she didn't have her wig on. And the way he delivers this line, he goes, "It was horrifying." It's so good. So that is a good one for Harold.
He kind of sounds like a little bit like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, I feel.
All right.
Or maybe like a little Philip Seymour Hoffman-esque.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I'll give you that one. So then Harold asks, "Hey, Jerry, do you know anyone who needs an apartment?" Jerry immediately thinks of Elaine. And I thought, man, nice guy Jerry. Yeah. Thinking of others, his first thought is Elaine.
Yeah, so even though this turns into him regretting the decision later, he, part of you is like, Jerry, how could you ever think that this would be a good idea? But he is thinking with his heart more than his head.
Yeah, absolutely. Harold says that Manny wanted it for his brother, but he got deported, and Elaine can have it for the price of $400 a month.
That's
which sounds
insane.
incredible.
Yeah, that's. I mean, even if you're living in, I feel like the middle of Indiana somewhere, $400 for an apartment is insane. I looked this up actually. The average rent for an apartment in the Upper West Side in 2014, at the time of this recording, is $3,495.
Ooh.
So we're talking about what, like 9 times the amount, nearly, than what it was. And obviously, a rent-controlled apartment, but you hear about these every once in a while in the city when someone like Mrs. Hudwalker, that old, just sat on this incredible apartment. It's probably really old, like it hasn't been updated or anything, but still, oh my God, I would stay in a dump if it were $400 a month in like a great location like 81st Street.
So then Kramer approaches, and Harold says, "Hey, Manny, look, Kramer put mousse in his hair." And Manny is so judgmental.
Yeah, I was trying to figure this out.
Disapproves of it.
Yeah, maybe if any of our Spanish-speaking listeners can help us out and maybe tell us what Manny is saying in this scene with Kramer.
Oh, I would love to hear what Manny's saying.
Mm-hmm. But Kramer still walks off, though, like with confidence. He's like, thanks.
Absolutely.
So Jerry goes back to his apartment, and Elaine is appropriately looking at apartment listings in the newspaper. Jerry enters with that classic smirk on his face and kind of starts teasing her. You know, like he knows something, and he's trying to get her, a little excited.
He's so tickled at the prospect of telling her this news.
He loves holding information over people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you should sit down for this. Sitting is good if you faint, but standing is good for jumping up and down. And I get the vibe from this. It reminds me, at least, when George got engaged and Jerry was like, "I'm not going to tell you the big news." And Elaine just begging him.
There's also that, what's going on? What's that look? What look? Yeah. And that's similar to The Deal with I Gave a Look.
Very much so. Very playful, the two of them.
And then Jerry says, "Oh, Elaine, you know the way I am, rarely thinking of myself. My only concern is the welfare and happiness of those close to me. Sure, it hurts times to give and give and give." And then he says, "What would you say if I told you?" And then he does this mouth move where he just opens his mouth and leaves her hanging. And she's like, "What?"
Moments like this, it doesn't feel like Jerry acting. Not that it's bad or anything, but I feel like this is like Seinfeld coming out and just being himself.
Yeah.
Very playful.
It's a tender moment, actually.
Right.
One of the few tender moments on the show.
And we get pretty much the setup for the whole episode.
What would you say if I told you that...
Told me what?
I got you an apartment in this building?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You didn't.
I did.
You got me an apartment in the building?
I got you an apartment in the building.
How did you...
Do you remember Mrs. Hudwalker, the 94-year-old woman who lived above me?
No.
She died?
She died?
She died.
She died?
And the rent is only $400 a month.
Get out! 400 a month? Only 400 a month?
400 a month?
And I'll be right upstairs?
Right upstairs.
Right above you?
Right above me.
Oh, what neighbors! I'll be here all the time.
All the time.
We can exchange keys so we can come in and out. Oh, this is gonna be great.
All the time.
Did we just witness the first Get Out?
Yes. The first of Elaine's Get Outs. I'm kicking myself because I think early on in Seinecast, maybe like the first episode or second episode, I claimed that Elaine didn't have a catchphrase. And she does. I think Get Out is probably her move, right?
That is her move, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, she plays defense, but this is her thing. So actually, we know this is our first Get Out, so I wanted to see how many other Get Outs there were in the series, and I actually got this information from a website called Seinology.com. There are actually 10 times in the series when Elaine gives a Get Out.
Oh my God.
So keep an eye out for those.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot more than that.
10's a lot.
Yeah, I guess one every 18 episodes. It's not... Yeah, it's all right. That would be more.
So we actually learned that Julia did this in real life before. It wasn't originally written in the script.
This is something she brought to the table, which I like. It's great.
Yeah.
There's certain things that like with the characters that I just don't see how a writer could have come up with them.
Yeah,
Like-
you wouldn't even think to. Elaine pushes Jerry in a funny way, you know?
Yeah, it definitely feels like something like an actor would have brought to the table. And of course, from the sound clip we just heard, Jerry realizes that this might not be a good idea to, have Elaine living in the same building. And I have to ask you, Vinny, because you're a pretty nice guy, you're pretty open-minded. Would this be a good idea in your mind?
There would definitely be a lot of discomfort having it be an ex-girlfriend bringing in new girls into the building and having that awkward passing. Oh, this is, how do you guys know each other? We dated for a while. Having to always tell that story every time you bring a girl home.
So the main issue is like, how am I going to continue having a relationship with someone when my ex-girlfriend is nearby? Because I always got the vibe it was just, God, Jerry doesn't want a friend that he sees every other day around all the time. Like, it would have driven him crazy, but...
Oh, no. Well, he's got Kramer across the way. But I think it's specifically because it's an ex-girlfriend.
I've got to say, though, I mean, it seems... Just judging their friendship, it makes sense. Like, I could see why Jerry made this call. It doesn't seem like it's a complete boneheaded move on his part.
No, he was thinking of her, of her best interest at the time. But then he got selfish, and he thought about himself.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I think Jerry is... I don't think he's in the wrong for thinking that. I think he's... I don't even know if he's being selfish. I think it would totally change the friendship. It's not the equivalency, but it's the same ballpark as them trying to, as we see in the deal, like hook up but still remain friends. Like, you can't have an ex-girlfriend right above you, and you know that over time, either she would start getting jealous or Jerry might start getting jealous of the people they bring home. And how do you think their dates feel knowing that, their ex-girlfriend lives right above them?
I had an ex-girlfriend live above me in college in the dorms.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That was close.
Oh, my gosh.
And I ended up staying in my room.
Cross that off your bucket list.
There you go.
And next scene, a little early in the episode, but we get a little more stand-up.
The problem with talking is that nobody stops you from saying the wrong thing. I think life would be a lot better if it was like you're always making a movie. You mess up, somebody just walks on the set and stops the whole shot. You know what I mean? Think of the things you wish you could take back. You're out somewhere with people. Gee, you look pregnant. Are you? God. That's not going to work at all. Walk out the door, come back in. Let's take this whole scene again. People, think about what you're saying.
And I love this stand-up here. The idea of getting kind of a second take at your mistakes in life.
Oh, yeah. There's that video game, Prince of Persia, where if you're about to fall off a cliff, you can press this rewind button to rewind using the sands of time.
Oh, cool.
To go back, 5 seconds so you don't die. So to have that in real life would be wonderful.
Are there so many times you can do that, though, in the game?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. I'm not much of a gamer, but...
Well, I used to be, but not anymore. Oh, yeah. There's that movie, Jake Gyllenhaal actually did a Prince of Persia movie, which I didn't see.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people saw that one. Next scene is at the Monk's coffee shop. We're going to call it Monk's, right?
We're always calling it Monk's. It has Monk's on the door.
Yeah, I know, but no one called it Monk's yet. Does anyone ever call it Monk's?
I remember in the statue when Jerry's on the phone with Ray, the college student or the grad student, he says that coffee shop by my place, Monk's.
Oh,
doesn't he say that on the phone?
Maybe that might be the first mention. We'll discuss that soon. Now, I feel like we've brought up the cashier before in other episodes and how it's not Ruthie Cohen.
Yeah.
But we got the first name.
Thanks. See you later, Donna.
Did you ever notice that this cashier's name was Donna before?
I did not. No. I didn't even think about it. And it's so quick, but it's just to have George exit the coffee shop.
Yeah, to the point where it's almost like Jason Alexander just, I don't know, just thought of the name at the moment.
I throw a name out.
Right. I'm not sure when Ruthie Cohen shows up, but it's going to be interesting when we say goodbye to Donna. I mean, she's so memorable.
Well, I didn't in the last episode, the phone message, we saw that cashier standing, and I think it's the same woman.
Yeah. I think this woman, Donna, the actress that plays her, is the cashier throughout the entire second season.
I looked on IMDb, she's not credited, so,
weird.
I don't have a name.
Well, as George leaves, we get maybe like the weirdest angles that we ever see. And I don't know if we return to this, but it's outside Monk's. Have we seen this? Or do we see this ever again?
I don't know. It's weird. You always see it them leaving from that view inside the diner, or I keep calling it a diner, from the coffee shop, but you never see them coming in.
Right, but I kind of like it. I wish they had done this shot a little bit more. I don't know, it's just something different.
It's unique.
Yeah, season 2, like really, it's almost like every episode has a new location, not literally like a new apartment or like a new office building, but like a different way of looking at a previous set, like Monks.
Mm-hmm.
And George is frustrated with Jerry here, and he's like, oh, where were you? And
Yeah.
real quick, before we move on, is Jerry coming from the previous scene when he was talking to Elaine?
I would imagine, yes.
Well, what made him late then? Like, it wasn't like he was spending extra time talking to Elaine, right? It's just this weird little thing that didn't make sense to me, like why Jerry would have been late showing up to meet with George.
Honestly, I didn't even think of that.
Okay.
Maybe it was, maybe for the sake of the joke of George having to go back into the coffee shop.
Sure.
He's like, I just was in there. But yeah, I can't think of a reason. Maybe Jerry was just so upset of what he did.
He was just at home brooding.
Yeah. Or maybe he had to talk to Kramer about it. Well, no, he didn't tell Kramer yet.
If we're going to fill in the blanks here, maybe Elaine wanted to go see Mrs. Hudwalker's apartment, and he had to take her, right,
there you go.
little tour. Jerry tells George that he told Elaine about the apartment, of course, in his building, and that she's moving in right above him. And this is just fantastic back and forth between Jerry and George. And
Or Abbott and Costello.
yeah, it's weird because it's I don't want to say like Peter Melman came up with a style because we've heard it in previous episodes, but I don't know if we've had this type of back and forth.
You can't believe what I just did.
What? What did you do?
I could tell you what I did, but you won't believe it. It's not believable.
What did you do?
How could I have done that?
Done what?
I told Elaine about an apartment opening up in my building. She's going to move in.
They'll repeat what they did, and then the other character will inquire, but won't get acknowledged in a way.
Mm-hmm. So it's that ping pong kind of like humor, that back and forth, the Abbott and Costello, as you mentioned, but it's like a little bit of a twist on it where you just sort of repeat what the person just said.
Yeah, I noticed George gets so worked up over Jerry's blunder. He's like, how could you do that? Then Jerry says, you may think you're an idiot, but with all due respect, I'm a much bigger idiot than you.
Maybe we can throw this in here too. I saw in the DVDs in the Notes About Nothing feature that great line, I'm Costanza, Lord of the Idiots. Jerry was supposed to say that in this scene. That was going to be Jerry's line. But
we all know there's only one Lord of the Idiots, and it is George Costanza.
Oh, totally. But I like this sort of little bit of an argument to see like who is the bigger idiot. And George almost takes pride in being the idiot. Don't insult me. Remember who you're talking to. No one's a bigger idiot than me.
And that was something I had in my notes. Is normally when you think of two friends trying to one up each other, that's usually about positive things. But with Seinfeld, it's always negative.
Oh yeah.
I think of who's the bigger idiot. They also compare who has the crazier parents in the puffy shirt episode. Mm-hmm. Jerry's father's never thrown anything out ever. George's father wears his sneakers in the pool. Jerry's mom has never set foot in a natural body of water, and George's mother has never laughed.
And in this scene, it's what's stupider, asking a ex-girlfriend to move into the building or going to a singles weekend at the Poconos. What do you think? Would you rather have an ex-girlfriend living in your building or take that singles weekend?
That's an indefinite situation versus the singles weekend is only 2 days.
Yeah.
And you're out of it. But, you still have to tell people you went to a singles weekend in the Poconos.
Oh, sure. And I love this bit here where Jerry says that, every time he comes into the building, he's going to have to sneak around like a cat burglar, which is just such a great visual. And I think that kind of sums up just the whole dilemma here more than anything, because I don't know why. I never really thought of how having a girl over would complicate things, having Elaine above you. I just thought about your way of life, seeing a friend, that you normally have the ability to be like, all right, see you later. And they leave. They literally go back to their house, in another part of town. There's distance. There's that buffer zone we were talking about. And even though no one mentions the buffer zone in this episode, I feel like that's really what's the problem here. Apologies, we're just quoting this at this point, but George also mentions that he's, have to have sex at other women's apartments now. He can't, have people over at his place anymore. It's like a permanent road trip. Forget about having the home bed advantage.
That's a brilliant analogy. That is so spot on.
I have to say, though, what's your feelings about the home bed advantage? Is it an advantage?
Can't remember.
Been a while.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought away was always nice.
Yeah. I have to agree. Like from what I remember from long ago, I always enjoyed being at someone else's place because there was that kind of like that trust, of
Yeah.
letting you into their environment.
I've been welcomed into this secret society.
Right. And also on the flip side, and this is like the lazy side of me, I kind of like the fact that I didn't have to worry about like, cleaning up the place and
You don't have to wash your sheets, make your bed.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm on their turf.
I worry now, like my room is a disaster zone. I never make the bed. I got clothes folded on the bed that are just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody was like, I want to go into your room, I'd say, nope, not going to happen.
Jerry asked George to go back into Monks with him, just for 2 minutes, I guess for a cup of coffee. But George, of course, feels embarrassed because he was just in there and they saw him walk out. And I completely forgot about this. When he starts saying this, that woman looks at him
Yeah.
through the glass.
And George makes this hand motion to her, and he's like, my hands are tied. I was just in there, but he's making me go back in.
Yeah, this is that, I don't want to call it very Larry David humor, but almost like Woody Allen type humor a little bit.
I have felt this way before.
Oh, yeah.
Walking out of a place and having to go back in, and I felt that embarrassment of what are they gonna think?
And completely different situation, but the same idea of having to go back into a place you just left. But it reminded me of the Porno Gill episode from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, I could see that.
Why did he have to go back into the house?
Because he gave his watch to one of the people at the dinner party.
And he has to get it back.
Yeah. Who, appropriately, his name was Jake Steinfeld. He was a fitness trainer.
Oh,
and
right.
of all the names they give him, it's Jake Steinfeld, unless that's his real name.
Maybe. I don't want to ruin the specifics of that scene, but Porno Gill, great episode with one of our favorites, Bob Odenkirk.
And another Seinfeld alum.
Yeah.
And Breaking Bad alum.
Once they're in Monks and sitting, Jerry is sort of going on about his censoring system broke down.
My censoring system broke down. You know that little guy in your head who watches everything you say, make sure you don't make a mistake? He went for a cup of coffee. And in that second, ruined my life.
My censor quit 2 years ago. Checked into a clinic, emotionally exhausted.
Do you have a censoring system? I've lost mine. I think I lost
Yeah.
mine years ago.
I just say, I think if people ask me a question, I'm going to give them an honest answer. I can't sugarcoat it. I can't be discreet.
Yeah, it's really tough. I think it was easier when I was maybe like in high school or college to have a censoring system, maybe because I was just so overconcerned about how people or what people thought of me that as I get older, it just kind of goes away and you are who you are.
So this also reminds me of when they talk about the little man. What does the little man inside you say?
Oh, right. My little man's an idiot.
The little man knows all.
Jerry goes on to ask if there's any way out of this Elaine thing, and he brings up the water pressure in his building. Now, I'm sure a siren went off, right, when you heard this line?
Yep, this is a gimme right here.
Right. Jerry points out that Elaine likes a good shower, but George has never heard of someone turning down an apartment because of a weak shower spray. And, of course, we have the connection to the showerhead episode. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty obvious, but I didn't know it was written by Peter Melman.
Nor did I,
Yeah.
which is a great connection. Peter Melman and Marjorie Gross wrote that episode.
Right. Which is fantastic. I wonder when Peter Melman wrote an episode if he ever, not that he had to pull out a script to remember it, but if it's really cool to track these patterns, these recurring themes that they were
Yeah.
probably from the same writers. I mean, makes sense, right? You write what you remember or what you've kind of set up already.
And I'm sure they all have their little notebook of ideas, and that was just something he called back to.
Which is so funny about Low Flow, because one thing I love about Peter Melman, if you ever see a picture of him, he has just the craziest, messiest head of hair.
He's definitely a writer.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like, I remember when I first saw him, I'm like, whoa, my God, man, comb your hair. But the more I see it, it's just fantastic. It's such a great look for this guy who's just, obviously a brilliant writer.
You know what? Now that I think of it, the voice in that episode that says, "We're installing new low-flow shower heads," it kind of sounds like Peter Melman.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But that's a stretch. I don't know if that's accurate.
Well, we'll wait to talk about that episode in, 2016?
Stay tuned. So here's another moment that I thought was kind of odd. Jerry looks at this woman feeding her baby, and he's really judging pretty hard. He says, "Look at this woman feeding her baby, greasy, disgusting, coffee shop, corned beef hash." That's very unlike Jerry, I thought, to just pick a person out and start making fun of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because it didn't kind of stand out to me as ooh, that's uncharacteristic of Jerry. But yeah, you never really get a lot of moments where he just really criticizes someone right on the spot. He'll observe people, right? Like, oh, look at this guy. Look what
Yeah.
he's doing.
But this isn't a judgmental tone, which it just stuck out as different to me.
And a little bit of interesting trivia here. That woman who Jerry criticizes is played by Joan Van Horn, who was the first assistant director on the show.
So if you look on her IMDb page, she's credited as being a unit production manager, a first assistant director, and a line producer on Seinfeld
wow.
from 1991 to 1994.
Oh, wow. So she was there in the early days.
Yeah, but she only has 2 acting credits, and this is one of them.
What was the other one?
Is nothing I could nothing that is notable.
No.
So I didn't write it down. Thanks for that.
It's not like Dunstan checks in or something.
All right, that's enough.
And there's this weird moment while we're on the subject of, Joan Van Horn and this baby. George just adding like, oh, I'd like to have a child one day. I need a
Yeah.
date first.
Gets a little sentimental.
Yeah, seems really weird. I don't think George ever would want a child, but
I actually like this George because he's still neurotic, but he has a little bit of sensitivity to him.
mm-hmm.
So I find it endearing.
And George maybe throughout the entire show has these moments of sensitivity, or at least like being compassionate, but it's only for like a brief moment, and then the neuroses take over, and they kind of send him back into the dark, brooding George we know.
So George has this friend Adam from Detroit,
Which, by the way, just totally like blindsided me because I know the premise with this whole wedding ring thing, but I love hearing about friends of the characters that we never meet.
Oh yeah,
So Adam from Detroit, just totally random.
and it's coming from George. It's not a Kramer. You know what I mean? All the fictional friends or the friends we don't see, those are usually from Kramer.
Yeah,
But Adam from Detroit has a flat head.
he's a cube.
He's a cube. Ever since he got married, women have been coming on to him like crazy. So Jerry says that'd be an interesting sociological experiment.
And he also adds that Kramer would lend George his father's wedding ring if he wanted, and which is crazy because I think this might be the first mention of Kramer's dad.
Yeah, one of the few. If I don't even know if there's any more.
I think there might be. Gosh, I feel so rusty. Rusty. But, I'm wondering, since Kramer has his father's wedding band, what do you think? We're getting a little sad here for a second, but do you think this means that Kramer's dad died? Or do you think he just left the mom? Because they were married, I guess, at one point, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a foggy backstory to Kramer because we know he grew up with his mother and she was very, strict with him. It makes it sound like he's passed,
Mm-hmm.
like he's out of the picture. But I don't know if he's dead or. I could see it for Kramer's character having a father who passed away young, and Kramer was raised only by his mother.
Right. We find out later, like his mom was, I guess, like really, I guess, promiscuous, and like with a lot of different men. So that might have had like a similar effect on Kramer. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I think that Kramer was like either around like a lot of sex growing up, like from having a promiscuous mother, or I don't know, like I imagine him being like a teenager working in like a strip club or something, like the coat check or something like that. Like for some reason being in a very like highly sexualized environment.
Yeah, and that would lead me to think he lost his virginity very young, and that also kind of led to his development into the character that he is.
Right.
That would have been an interesting coffee shop discussion at the booth. Is everybody talking about when they lost their virginity?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised they never tackled that.
Do we have anyone's virginity, how they lost it?
No.
I don't think so.
So I would love to. I'd love to.
Oh
hear
no!
that.
Doesn't George say Miss Stafford?
Yeah, you're right. There you go.
I don't know if that was
Cool.
true though. Miss Stafford. Anywho, sorry, we went on a bit of a tangent there.
I was thinking about Miss Stafford.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to the next scene, this little bit outside of the coffee shop, and in the coffee shop, I guess, was originally supposed to take place at the end of a movie line. So, George was waiting for Jerry to show up, I guess. And dialogue was cut out about how, despite the long line, Jerry and George can avoid having to sit in the front of the movie theater. George says that while he was waiting in line on opening day of The Exorcist, he pretended he had a grotesque physical impairment, and because of that, he went straight to the front of the line without anyone saying anything. So in this scene, George decides to bribe his way to the front by handing, I guess, a stranger $5 along with a note saying, you should pretend to be my friend for the money.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, pretty good, right? And eventually the theater manager would be escorting them away, catching on to their ploy, and someone in the front of the line would actually recognize George, but by then it was too late. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like that, but maybe a little too busy to really get the main points of the story across.
Yeah, it's probably like if we had an extended edition episode, it'd be something nice to have in there.
Mm-hmm.
Two things stuck out to me with this deleted or this cut dialogue was it reminded me of the storyline in Curb when Larry pretends that he has a stutter so that he can move to the front of the line to get into the bathroom.
Because to use the handicap stall, right?
Yeah, to use the handicap stall. He witnessed a guy come in he witnessed a man park in a handicap parking spot who had a stutter. And Larry's like, that's weird, But then he ends up trying it to try and get to use the handicap stall. And the entire line calls him out. They're like, get to the back of the line.
And he's like, all right. Like, the stutter disappears.
Yeah, he knows. He knows he was caught. And then another thing that stuck out is, so they had the bit with George paying $5 to a stranger so he can move to the front of the line. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine George Costanza paying money to avoid sitting in the front of a movie theater. Like, I would think he'd just be like, all right, we'll just sit in the back or the front. It's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did come off pretty cheap in the Chinese restaurant.
Right.
And we've seen him display, like, the cheapness, of, like, pulling back $1 or $2 from the waitress for her tip.
776. Okay, so we're going to move to the next scene, which is outside of Kramer's apartment door, and he is giving George his father's wedding band. Kramer doesn't seem to understand why George wants to borrow the ring in the first place. He's saying, I don't know why you're doing this. You're a good-looking guy. But before we get to that, remember when Kramer has Elaine wear his mom's wedding band, and she pretends to be his fiancé when he's Dr. Von Nostrand?
Oh, right, yeah.
And Dr. Von Nozen, when he's trying to get the jacket from the man that was stooping his mom or something. I forget.
He was the landlord, but he was talking about, Kramer's
Come back to bed, Albert. But so that means Kramer has both his mother and his father's wedding bands.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, that's kind of sweet that Kramer keeps, has these keepsakes from his parents' life.
It's kind of sad though, because it makes you think like, I mean, the marriage I guess didn't end well, right? For Babs to be like, here, just take my ring. I don't want to see it again.
Well, and that led me to think, did they divorce? Did they separate? Mm-hmm. What were the circumstances that he came to have both of these rings? So anyway, Kramer suggests to George, he's like, why not get some plugs or a piece? And George staunchly opposes this. He's like, I'm not doing that. Which totally brought me back to a Curb episode. Do you remember when Larry hires the bald chef for his restaurant?
Yes, mainly because he's bald.
He's so enamored with this guy because he's bald and he wears it proudly. Larry, tends to side with, he's friendly with this guy solely because he's bald. That's why he ends up hiring him.
Someone that can embrace the baldness.
Yeah. So George vehemently opposes wearing a toupee or doing anything to modify his appearance. But as we'll see in season 6, in the scofflaw and the beard, he's going to wear a toupee and embrace it. So after this, we move to Harold and Manny are yelling about sponges, very tiny sponges in the hallway. And yet again, Jerry comes out.
Boys! Hi, Jerry. Hello, Harry.
And then at this point, Jerry finds out that Elaine can no longer have the apartment because somebody offered Manny $5,000.
Right, and she could have the apartment if she ponied up that amount.
If she comes up with that money. Mm-hmm. So, and at this point, it actually made me think of Jerry being even Steven in that, things are working out for him, which tends to always happen through the series, and they do that in an episode.
We should keep track of that.
There's a lot of things to keep track of on this show. It's getting tiresome.
The sponge that Manny's holding up, though, did you notice how small that thing was?
Oh it was microscopic. I didn't know I don't think they make sponges that small. I have a feeling they took a regular size sponge and cut it in fourths.
Looks like it.
But it's hysterical because he's got to hold it between his thumb and forefinger just so delicately.
It looks like the kind of sponge you put on the end of one of those little handles, whatever that dumb
Swiffer?
Cleaning. No, like the thing you used to clean dishes. Remember those like plastic handle things?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was too much trouble to hold onto a sponge. You have to create like a plastic device to...
A plastic buffer. You don't want to get your hands wet.
Oh. So Jerry heads back into the apartment, right? And George is sitting there, and he's, as you mentioned, even Stevens, right? He finally sees that there's reason and purpose to all things. And when George asks what happened to him, he's like, religion, my friend, that's what happened to me. Help me out with this one. Is
I guess he just believes in I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like religion, does it?
No, it doesn't. But maybe it's just that idea of, when things go your way, it's like all of a sudden you become religious.
Somebody up there is looking out for him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want this to happen, and he got it to happen.
Right. Jerry says it's all part of the divine plan. And George has that great line. How does baldness fit into that plan?
There you go. More mention of the baldness.
I gotta wonder if baldness up to this point, was that really a part of George's life as an insecurity?
No.
Something he's not happy
I'm
with?
not quite sure when the first reference to George being bald and having it be an issue.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say might be the first mention of it, really,
Mm-hmm.
because everything else is about him, dating someone. I mean, he has his own insecurities and being cheap and whatnot, but the physical trait of being bald, this I think might be the first time it seems to be pretty prevalent, especially from scene to scene.
I feel like it's going to snowball too in later episodes, because in the fix-up, Elaine's going to describe him as being bald, and stocky, and I just feel like from here on out, we're going to get a lot of bald jokes.
He does mention, I guess, in the Chinese restaurant that he's a short, stocky,
bald
man
with
glasses. Yeah.
There you go.
Jerry's buzzer goes off, and he steps up to it and says, "Elaine?" Yeah! It's incredible. How do you reach that? Yeah, how do you reach that pitch?
Religion, my friend. I don't know. I have no idea.
Jerry lets George know before Elaine gets up there that he's going to pretend like he's disappointed when he talks to Elaine about the apartment, and since he's going to see him be a real phony, maybe he should head to the other room. And this kind of confused me because even before George responded, it seemed weird that Jerry would want to preface the scene saying, "Hey, George, I'm going to lie here if you're uncomfortable with that," because George is the king of the liars.
True, but Jerry is not, so maybe that's what makes him uncomfortable. I don't know. Maybe George won't be able to... You would think George would be able to play along with this ruse, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. Maybe it's the idea of, like, it makes him uncomfortable because Jerry might not be the best liar.
And because it could get awkward if Elaine is onto it and she gets upset.
Yeah.
Like, what, you don't want me to move in?
Right. It's not so much the lying aspect. It's just, like, the awkwardness, because it's going to probably hurt Elaine, It's going to break her heart.
He's got to let down a friend.
Sure.
And there's that mention of phony again. Phony's a big thing with Jerry. He doesn't like to be called phony, and he doesn't like to be shushed.
Yes, and that term, phony, has come up quite a bit in the show, I feel. But George has that great line, and he says, like, I lie every second of the day. And he even points at the ring, and he's like, my whole life is a sham.
He's living one right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think Jerry does feel a little guilty, though, because he is sort of, he's like, my intentions were good. I love Elaine. I just don't want her in the building.
He's relieved, yet feels guilt because he promised this apartment to his friend, and now she can't have it, yet he got what he wanted.
Yeah. I really don't see Jerry being in the wrong, though, whatsoever. I think he just sort of jumped the gun, so to speak.
Absolutely, yeah.
Without really thinking things through, but, and yeah, I guess, like, when it comes to karma, like, he shouldn't be, like, over the moon and, like, break Elaine's heart, but I don't think there's any shame in having to justify his happiness.
No, and he tried to be as tactful as possible when telling Elaine the bad news.
Right. Elaine enters, and she's really upbeat.
Good morning, good morning. Have you ever gotten up first thing in the morning and felt that it's just great to be alive, that every breath is a gift of sweet light from above?
And when Elaine enters the room, I feel like this is something we do from time to time.
Yes.
Even if it's not morning, right?
Well, I think if we see each other and we're in a really good mood, you're going to get the good morning, that thing. The writers do such a wonderful job of upping this level of guilt that Jerry feels, and that he's going to have to lie to Elaine or break this news to Elaine, at making her so happy right now. She's on top of the world.
It really just makes you a little uncomfortable in still a funny way,
It's making the situation more awkward, hence why George has to end up leaving.
Right.
Now, nice little piece of trivia here was that Elaine's entrance was actually a little longer. She went on to say, "Today I got up, I looked around my dingy little room in my miserable apartment with my awful roommate in this terrible neighborhood, and I said to myself, free at last, thank God Almighty, I'm free at last."
Which I assume they cut for time, right? Or maybe it was just beating a dead horse. Like, all right, we get that she's happy.
It looks like one of those historical references that Larry David threw in,
Yes.
Like a Kennedy joke. Now we got a Martin Luther King joke.
Mm-hmm. Now, Elaine gives Jerry checks for the first and last month and security deposit, and I felt so bad for her, where she's like, I only have $75 left in my account.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, you poor girl.
See, that made me feel happy in that, okay, she struggled too. She was a woman in her 30s, living in New York. She's trying to make it, and I'm in that same boat right now. So I'm like, all right, like Elaine's going through it. She's mixing it up.
Oh, sure. Now, Jerry's trying to, tell her about the apartment situation, and she interrupts him, and she's like, oh, I know about the shower spray, and I'm switching to baths. Mm-hmm. She's so cute in this scene. There we go.
Yeah.
And again, with the historical references, right? Bringing up Winston Churchill and saying, oh, well, why stand when you can sit?
I have to assume that's all Larry David dropping these in. That actually reminds me of a Curb episode when Larry is talking about compromising, and he's like, Henry Clay? He's known as the Great Compromiser. And he talks about a good compromise being when both parties are unhappy.
Now, we're about to get into, I think, one of my favorite scenes from season 2, when Jerry tells Elaine about the, $5,000, and she's like, oh, I don't have $5,000, how is she going to get it? And Kramer enters, hears about Elaine's problem, and just flat out says, Jerry, you don't have $5,000 you can lend her? Is this the start, would you say, of Big Mouth Kramer?
Yeah.
The first evidence of Kramer really just not keeping his mouth shut.
So how about that Kramer, huh? How he just says stuff. Funny thing is, I think if Kramer had the money, he would give that to Elaine instantly.
Oh, sure. But does he? That's the weird thing. He does fall ass backwards into money.
Later on, especially, but we don't know how he gets money right now. Mm-hmm. We don't know about his gambling problem,
Or anything like that. It just seems like he gets by, if anything. Now, there's this great little moment where this is just great acting on Jerry's part.
Jerry, you don't have $5,000 you can lend her. Come on.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Is that something you want to borrow?
No, that's too much money to borrow.
Loan her the money. You can afford it.
She doesn't want to borrow the money.
Oh, come on.
I love the idea of them both, they're pretending to believe that, but neither of them do. Jerry doesn't want to give her the money, and Elaine doesn't want to not have it.
They're doing this dance.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And just Kramer just keeps pushing it to the point where Elaine pretty much, Jerry never says, okay, I'll give you the money, right? I don't think those words ever come out of his mouth.
No, he's gritting his teeth at Kramer saying she doesn't want the money.
And the fact that Kramer just keeps interrupting, he's moving around the apartment, and he goes to make a sandwich, and he's still talking over Jerry to the point where, Elaine is so content with the idea, she leaves to take one last look at the apartment.
It's funny because Kramer is actually answering for Jerry, and it's almost as if Jerry is excluded from the conversation, and Kramer's saying, "What's $5,000 between friends? He'll pay you back, blah blah blah," and Jerry can't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, I really have to this is. Big credit, I think, to Peter Melman for this script, and it's really helped to watch these episodes, just one by one, because this is, I think, a breakthrough sort of character development for the Kramer character.
Good point.
He is sort of known for doing this. All the way to the episode The Kiss Hello, and season 9, when he takes a vow of silence, Kramer's known for opening his mouth and just really screwing people over.
Yeah, and good point.
We've said repeatedly up to this point that Kramer has, the character at least, doesn't really have much to do in the episodes.
Right.
He's sort of a tag along, and I'd say this is one of his biggest roles yet in terms of moving the plot forward.
So I actually just thought of this. It seems like they've kind of established already in the previous episodes that Kramer has this alien-like quality to him. He's a pod. He doesn't quite understand how humans really interact. He just kind of does his own thing. I feel like Peter Melman kind of expanded on that and gave him this big mouth quality.
It was all over. Taken care of. Done. Finished. 5,000. Where is she going to get 5,000? She doesn't have 5,000. Clean. Goodbye. She's gone. Then you come in. Honey, you loaded the 5,000. What do you care? You got 5,000. Give her 5,000.
Well, you didn't want her in the building?
No, I didn't.
Well, then what did you loan her the $5,000 for? Well, look, maybe she won't take it. She did say that she was going to think about it.
People don't turn down money. It's what separates us from the animals.
Well, I still don't understand what the problem is having her in the building.
Let me explain something to you. You see, You're not normal. You're a great guy. I love you, but you're a pod. I, on the other hand, am a human being. I sometimes feel awkward, uncomfortable, even inhibited in certain situations with the other human beings. You wouldn't understand.
Because I'm a pod.
So you really think, though, that Peter Melman was able to pick up on a lot of traits of the Kramer character, whether it was on the page or came through with Michael Richards' performance, and was able to really bring it together into one, like, bit of dialogue here with Jerry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saying you're not a human being, you're not normal.
Exactly. I think he just built upon what, Larry, Jerry, and Larry had built.
Mm-hmm. And right before we get out of the scene, Elaine steps back in, and she's like...
I'll take it!
No. George does that little, like, 360.
Yeah.
Walks away. Or 180, I'm sorry.
That's a 180, George. Ha, I did it.
Nice.
And you notice how Kramer turns around on the couch, he's like, no. He's like, oh, he's trying to undo it.
Oh, wow, he really is a big dumb animal then.
Yeah. The end of the scene is I feel like it's just a beautiful, cherry on top. The way all four characters are in the scene, and there's all these little beats that each character does to really put the finishing touches on this great scene. It could have been like an episode ender in a way,
Yeah,
it feels that way. That's
a really tricky and a tall order to get characters to literally be like leaving the scene, entering the scene. It's like a dance, and they really pull it off well here.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why Larry and the gang were so impressed with Melman's script in this episode.
Yeah.
But, real quick, you were mentioning earlier about like Winston Churchill and the reference to Martin Luther King Jr. That I assume that Jerry and mainly Larry, for that matter, they take a pass on the script and they either punch it up or they just throw in any little joke they feel is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't really think of it that way, but I don't really think of that. I think of like a writer just turns in their script and that's it.
Right.
But
do you think writers get upset when, like in this circumstance, do you think Peter Melman got upset when he turns in his script and then it comes back and there's different jokes than he anticipated in there?
I don't think so, because as a writer, you're hired to write the script, and someone like Larry and Jerry, who are not only writers but the executives on the show, I think there's sort of an understanding in the hierarchy that they can do whatever they want to it. Like, it's their show. I'm working for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you were Larry or Jerry and people above you, like studio execs, people who aren't in the creative process of the show, start changing the script, then you get pissed. But someone like
that makes sense.
Yeah, someone like Peter Melman, there's like a working relationship between him and Larry and Jerry. But I mean, at the same time, though, if anything, it's just going to make your script funnier. We have an act break, and next scene is at Roxanne's apartment. This is Elaine's friend from short story writing class, right?
Yes.
And I noticed how her apartment is, we were talking about last episode that all the apartments look the same. They have that long hallway leading down to the bedroom, and there's like the couch and tables in the main gathering space. But hers is just a little bit different, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Has a balcony.
It's big.
Yeah, definitely.
So First Avenue, where is that?
Well, it's like the east side of the city of Manhattan. Mm-hmm. So I think that's right on the water, right along the East River.
I need to bone up on my New York locations. I'm awful navigating through New York.
Did you notice when Elaine introduces Jerry, or more importantly George, he puts his left hand like on top of Roxanne's hand?
Yes.
Like, so she like almost like notices the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I like seeing George, try to get away with something, but at the same time, when it's so obvious, it just really gets under my skin for some reason.
It's entertaining but cringeworthy, yes.
Right. Now, we'll get into this later in the scene, but were we supposed to understand something between Jerry and Roxanne?
I don't know. Elaine alludes to them. So I saw there's something going on between you two, and Jerry says, no, it just looks like that because I'm a guy.
Yeah, but I get the feeling Roxanne is very, like, flirty with him.
Yeah, I could see that. And then once Jerry makes that comment about, a woman from Norway, a guy from Kenya, and 20,000 losers, then she's kind of a little bit put off.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I felt like we missed something in the first scene when Elaine's like, oh, and, this is Roxanne, that girl I want to set you up with.
Yeah, I get that feeling.
Before we get into that, though, Elaine introduces Jerry. This is the first mention of Jerry being the one that got her the apartment.
So you're Elaine's hero.
And just that theme, we always equate it to the knife digging in deeper.
Mm-hmm.
But
ratcheting it up this storyline. George interjects with his wife's story, and we actually get another one of those weird close-up shots. This time it's on Elaine, and she's looking over at Jerry, I think, saying, like, do you believe this guy, what he's doing? I think that's the impression of the scene.
Yeah, like, did the shot almost confuse you? Like, where you see Elaine, it's like, whoa, what's going on?
And it's so close compared to all the other shots.
When it cuts back to Jerry, I think you see him looking at Elaine, but it's like a different shot.
In a earlier draft, in this scene, George actually whispers to Jerry, if anyone asks, you were my best man.
Which is good. That's a good, lie. Like, doesn't George tell Elaine in a later episode, like, you've never worked with me before. Jerry and I have worked together many times before. Many times. Mm-hmm. Like the idea that they're they lie together, like as a team, sort of.
Which is great because Jerry ends up being George's potential best man in season 7.
Very true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, but I also like that George is going to great lengths to have his story be in sync. So he's going to have his best man at the party. Make sure you inform Jerry, hey, you were my best man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, this is that point that we were talking about earlier where Jerry and Roxanne are flirty, and Jerry's jokes are landing, not like, with us, but at least with Roxanne.
Yeah.
But what is it about that line where he says, well, she mentions, she wishes they had a view of the finish line, and Jerry says, well, what's to see? A woman from Norway, a guy from Kenya, and 20,000 losers.
That is such an accurate joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's still relatable to today. Whenever you see a marathon, it's always like a Norwegian woman. Mm-hmm. It's perfect, but Roxanne is not feeling it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Roxanne actually is played by the actress Janine Jackson.
Oh, okay.
She's only in the one episode.
Now we cut to George's first conversation with a guest there. This is with Rita.
Played by Leslie Neal.
Leslie Neal. He's just right out the gate talking about his wife being on him that morning about the lawn. Good on George for covering his bases here. When she's like, well, what does your wife do? He says that she's an entomologist. Bees, flies, gnats.
There are always such weird jobs that he picks. It's not like, oh, she just works in an office. It's really specific.
Do you think like that's? I mean, if Larry David did that in real life, like if he's borrowing from his experience of lying about people and giving them really like elaborate jobs, do you think because he finds humor in that, like the more specific the job, the at least the more entertained he is?
I think so. He gets a kick out of it.
Yeah. And what is Rita's job exactly?
She works for the director of Madison Square Garden.
And she can get, free tickets to any sporting event in New York.
But she leaves the conversation. Your wife is a very lucky woman.
I think she likes George, right?
She sounds very sincere.
Yeah. The next two women George talks to are definitely more into him than Rita is. But I get the feeling like Rita, if George weren't married, definitely something would have started between the two of them.
Yeah. So we have some newcomers enter the party. We have Stan and Joanne. Joanne is played by actress Mel Rain, and guess who plays Stan? David Blackwood's back.
Should we play the theme?
Yeah, do it.
Double dipped? What are you talking about?
You dipped the chip, you took a bite, and you dipped again.
I guess it's more of a quote than a theme. Our double dipper of the episode, right? Or should he be a...
He's actually a 7-dipper.
So, Vinny, give us a little background on David Blackwood.
We first saw him as man number 1. He was the white guy at the end of the robbery. They were talking about where the apartment is, but this is the second episode he's appeared in, and he plays Stan. Next, we'll see him in The Nose Job. Then the Cheever Letters, he'll be the doorman. In the handicap spot, he'll be the security guard. In The Marine Biologist, he'll be the hotel clerk, who you love. Growl. And then we'll see him in The Gymnast.
Right on. It's crazy I don't understand why he was asked to come back so many times. Well, moving forward, though, should he just be the double dipper, no matter, despite the fact that he showed up 7 times?
He's a double dipper all-star.
But I guess we'll deal with this on a episode-by-episode basis. But for now, I think David Blackwood should just be considered a double dipper, and we'll just connect him to the episode he appeared in previously.
Well, officially, this is his double dip because this is the second episode he's in.
True. So
there you go.
Maybe a triple dip.
Then we'll have a triple dipper in the nose job. So we'll get there.
Okay, cool. Maybe we'll
Let's keep it
rebrand
that.
it.
Yeah. So Elaine describes that she's in a short story class with Roxanne and Stan and Joanne, which reminded me in the Doodle, she takes a drawing class with Paula, who ends up dating George.
Oh, there you
So
go.
I like that Elaine is constantly, doing things to better herself. She took a drawing class. She took a short story class. She wrote that pilot for Murphy Brown. So I think she has aspirations of doing something in the arts.
Yes, exactly. She likes to be busy outside of her, day job of reading manuscripts.
Now, do you think that the names Roxanne, Stan, and Joanne, that was intentional, right?
I think so. Just to...
It's a joke in itself.
Yeah, everyone kind of has a similar name.
Because it seems like when making up names for a sitcom, you'd want them to be different and not over the top, but sound like real names, I guess. I don't really know how they go about making up these names for sitcoms, but it seems like the writers were like, let's make them rhyme. That'll be coincidental and funny,
And also, the situation, Jerry's in an environment where he doesn't know any of these people. He's really frustrated, to say the least, regarding the whole Elaine apartment situation. And here Elaine is so excited about not only her apartment but introducing him to her friends, and they all have rhyming names, and they're just digging that knife into Jerry of, this is so cool, you got Elaine the apartment, you guys must be so excited to be neighbors. It's just an annoying, I think, detail in the script to have them all have rhyming names, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Everybody at the party is in on the story. They all know Jerry got Elaine the apartment because they're all yelling at each other. This is Jerry. He's the one that got her the apartment. So next, Jerry gets introduced to Rita, who previously was speaking with George. As soon as she shakes Jerry's hand, she immediately turns and yells, Bob, this is the guy that got Elaine the apartment.
It was funny because I did see that guy in the background. For whatever reason, I was just looking in the background during the scene, and I'm like, who is that guy over there? And it was just so weird for her to be like, Bob. I'm like, whoa. Found out who he was.
Who he reminds me of is Jay Chandrasekhar from Super Troopers.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm like, he'd be too young to be in there.
I like how Bob does the little,
nice symbol.
A-okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now we move to George speaking with, she's not mentioned by name in this scene, but she is credited as Susie.
Susie.
Which I think might be the most reoccurring name in this show.
Mm-hmm. So Susie is played by Patricia Iame Thompson. She was she starred in Friends, Rising Sun, that movie with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes.
Oh, yeah.
And she was in Jake and the Fat Man.
Oh, my God. It's out of control. I noticed that George is... There's a certain thing about George you can write so easily. You just cut to the middle of a conversation between George and a woman, and he's going on some kind of it's like stand-up material, but it's not really that funny, yet the girl is finding it really funny.
The subjects are so random.
Yeah, it's weird. It kind of reminds me of Larry David humor, but I find Larry David humor to be actually funny, whereas George's stuff is a little... But in this scene, he's talking about the Matador, right? And how it's not that difficult of a job. Bull charges, you move the cape? What's so hard?
It sounds similar to his thoughts on manure. And how when you break it down, it's not that bad.
Manure, history of toilet paper, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's all it's not the same material, but it's just it's almost like he looks at Jerry's kind of humor and he's trying to do, did you ever notice?
Yes.
But it just doesn't have that polished comic edge to it.
Susie straight out asked George.
So, are you really married? Because I've actually heard of single guys who wear wedding bands to attract women.
You would have to be a real loser to try something like that.
That's too bad, because I really have a thing for bald guys with glasses.
And I do actually feel sorry for George here when she goes on to say that's too bad because she really has a thing for bald guys with glasses. I never got that as a kid. I'm like, wait, why would anyone have a thing? You know what I mean? It's such a specific. It's like the Marissa Tomei thing. Loves
that I get though, but go on.
You get the Marissa Tomei thing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant having a thing for a Marissa Tomei type. I missed.
But the other way around, the fact that everything. Well, I mean, everyone has their own type. That's not, I guess, what I'm arguing. But the fact that George is meeting all of these women that
and
love
they're
that.
beautiful women.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
She went out with George. It's too good to be true, but for the sake of the comedy, it's hilarious.
Now, again, this is the second character, this Susie character that walks off, right?
Yes.
She just walks away.
Yeah, George got burned a second time now.
Mm-hmm. Rita says, "Oh, here comes the runners," and that kind of what gets everyone away from the gang. And this is an interesting little appearance by an actress. She has no lines. You can barely see her on camera, but who's the actress exactly? Or I guess the woman next to Elaine when they walk away from her?
Standing next to Elaine is the actress named Lauren Bolis, who is actually Julia Louis-Dreyfus's half-sister in real life. And you will remember her. She played the waitress in Monks several times. She's the one that flicked off George when she held out her finger when George asked for the fruit on the side as well.
I think she kind of became the standard waitress in Monks in like season 8 or 9.
Yes. And was she Elaine's stand-in?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I'm sure one of our listeners out there will message us and let us know. By the way, everyone, thank you. We're getting a lot of little messages on Twitter and Facebook from everyone whenever we kind of have we ask a question on the podcast and we don't follow it up. People are answering us, so we really appreciate everyone's consideration helping us two schmucks.
It's wonderful. We got a little silent community going.
Yeah. Now, I barely recognized Lauren. I had to pause it and really look at her because she moves so quickly, but you can sure enough tell that is the waitress.
It goes by so fast, it's not even worth mentioning, you know what I mean? But the fact that she's come back for so many other episodes, it was kind of neat to see this is the first time she's appeared in the show.
Totally. And now at this point, this is where Elaine tells Jerry, "Oh, I noticed you and Roxanne are hitting it off," and I was trying to figure this out exactly. Jerry says that he's a guy and it looks like that from a distance. Now, Elaine, broaches the topic. Living in the building together could cramp their styles and it could get uncomfortable if they, brought someone home. But as long as he's okay, she is. And right as she walks away, Jerry's just about to say something.
She gave him that out and he didn't take it.
Yeah, I don't know why. This isn't this isn't the greatest episode ever written, but I really do like this very simple plot line in this episode. Jerry's stress and frustration with this issue getting stretched out throughout the entire episode.
Yeah.
I don't know why I really enjoy it. I like seeing a character it's just Jerry standing there with his finger out and it just works.
Mouth open, finger out.
Yeah, it just works so well.
So now we go back to George and his wedding band. He's talking to a black woman now, Janice, who's played by Teresa Randall. She was in Bad Boys 1 and 2, all the Beverly Hills movies. She was in Space Jam and Jungle Fever. So she's quite accomplished.
We said Beverly Hills, the Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop.
Nice. I have to say, though, before we get into her, just what she's talking to him about, she was my favorite of the three women George talks to. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you, which is your favorite woman? Not just looks, your attraction to them, but just their delivery. I love her delivery, just how deadpan she is.
Yeah, she doesn't crack a smile at all.
No, but it's. I don't find it that sexy, but she's, I think, trying to be sort of seductive.
Yes. I don't know. I think I gravitate towards Rita.
Mm-hmm.
I like she hasn't said her signature line yet, but I think that's what makes me laugh the most is because she is the new contender for title of Lord of the Idiots.
Sure.
I've never been able to be with just one person. I can, however, carry on strictly physical relationships which can last for years and years. It's a shame you're married.
I'm not. It's just a sociological experiment.
Please.
This is what makes me just love this Janice character. She just goes, "Please." Walks away.
Yeah.
I love that. That sells me on her character. I love that so much.
It is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. There's something about deadpan delivery that I just love.
So George and Jerry meet at the snack table.
You have no idea what an idiot is. Elaine just gave me a chance to get out, and I didn't take it. This is an idiot.
Is that right? I just threw away a lifetime of guilt-free sex and floor seats for every sporting event in Madison Square Garden. So please, a little respect For I am Costanza, Lord of the Idiots. But suddenly, a new contender has emerged.
And that makes you like her even more?
Yeah, because she's a big dork. Who yells that out from atop an apartment at people running?
It's, for me, the thing about Rita that kills me, it's the hair. It's like...
I like the short hair.
Oh, get at it. Well, short hair is one thing, but isn't it like PC?
90s short hair.
Oh my God. It's just, it's not right. It kind of reminds me a little bit. It's like the next step in evolution from the Laura character from the pilot.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Just a little dated for my taste.
All right, so now we're back at Jerry's apartment, and Jerry's on the phone with George, and he's describing how he couldn't sleep the previous night. He's just going to have to tell her because he can't go through with having Elaine move into the building. Of course, George is in his own world, and you don't hear him, but Jerry is explaining to him, well, just you know, put some butter on it. It'll slide right off.
Soap on it.
Soap.
Butter.
Butter. You can use butter.
That could work.
And then Kramer comes in, and he seems very confident about something, and then he proceeds to trim his fingernails. What the hell is that about?
I like that because it's like a very... again, I don't know if that's Michael Richards coming up with it, but it's a very kind of like cocky, sort of like very sure of yourself thing to do while you're talking.
Yeah,
it's like the same. It's like the same camp as when Jerry talks about gum in his stand-up, and he's like, "I can see why like teachers didn't want kids to chew gum in class because you never." Oh yeah, that happened. Sure, okay.
Yeah, thanks, teach. Yeah, but the finger clippings are going all over Jerry's counter. And I would think Jerry, being the fastidious individual that he is, would be like, hey, what are you doing? You know?
It's pretty gross.
So anyway, Kramer describes, I got it all taken care of with the apartment. I found a guy who's willing to pay $10,000 for the apartment cash. And Jerry's like, I'm in the clear. You know, Elaine's never going to know that he didn't want her to move in. She doesn't move in, so everything can go about it normal. And then Kramer finishes with a lovely line, sometimes I like to help the humans.
We should also note that Kramer says that whoever he found is in the music business, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I forgot to say, when Kramer reveals this news to Jerry, Jerry gives Kramer a little bit of a get out.
Yeah, that's true. He does. Mm-hmm. He even grabs his cheeks. He's like, my God, man.
Yeah, which is another tender moment.
I thought he was going to, just plant one on him.
That happens later.
Yeah, that's true. And we come back to the apartment after, I guess, a couple of weeks, and you just hear heavy rock playing through the ceiling and into Jerry's apartment.
And it's cheesy, like late 80s rock, too.
I was hoping I could isolate this music.
Yeah.
And just have it playing under our discussion, but...
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Wow, you're right. That is loud.
It's just unbelievable.
They rehearse all the time?
All the time. I've been up there 6 times. They refuse to stop. I can't live like this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm heading for a breakdown. Can't you do something?
I'm not going up. It stinks up there.
Manny?
Porque él le tiene miedo a esa gente. Tiene que ponerse bien macho y decirle que no pueden tocar después de las 11.
I would imagine if you're making that much noise, the police would be called. They'd eventually have to stop.
Right. And I think the supers of the building have a right to do something about it, right?
Yeah, but Harold won't go up there because why? It stinks?
Stinks.
And here's another thing. I want to know what Manny is saying in Spanish, if anyone can help us out.
We need a transcript of all of Manny's lines, please.
Please.
Harold, like we said, won't go up there because it stinks. And then he argues with Manny, saying, well, I'm not the one who said they could play until 11 p.m.
Oh, so Manny gave him permission.
Yes. And then Elaine chimes in with, well, it's too bad because you would never hear a peep out of me. I'm as quiet as a mouse.
Now that something rubs me the wrong way with that line.
Why?
Because, it of course makes you chuckle, and it's frustrating because if Elaine lived up there, it wouldn't have been as bad as Jerry thought. But would Elaine really be? Well, I guess what she's saying is you wouldn't hear me make a lot of noise. But
compared to a rock band.
Compared to a rock band, but she would still be very involved, I feel like, in Jerry's life.
Oh, she'd be popping in and out.
Yeah.
It's just, in this circumstance, it would have worked out had Jerry had a lane up above him rather than a rock band.
That's true. And Kramer comes in with his golf club. We've set this up already, right? That Kramer likes to golf.
Yep, that's already come in.
Mm-hmm.
It's all hips.
Well, speaking of hips, he's like, I love this, or like, I love the one they do after this, and he starts dancing.
Yeah, and then as they're fading, you see him use his golf club as like a cane or something. And he's
like a pimp cane.
Yeah.
One thing to note before we leave is I guess Harold and Manny weren't originally supposed to be in the scene, and then they added them at the last minute. So I don't know why that decision was made. Maybe just to bring it full circle, or to kind of understand, oh, well, if Jerry had a noise complaint, he could have just told Harold. But
maybe to reinforce there was nothing that could be done about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know what I mean? That the circumstances were out of Jerry's control.
Right. And, it's, just kind of like fading out and seeing the Harold and Manny characters. Again, as a pair, it kind of annoys me. Like, it's a little too repetitive just to have them argue all the time. But I do wish that we saw at least Harold again, as the plan was to have him in the Revenge.
And it's funny, they said Harold only would have been in the Revenge. So I wonder what would have happened to Manny and if they would have addressed it.
I don't know. What do you do when a neighbor is making like a lot of noise at 3 o'clock in the morning? I mean, can you knock on someone's door and tell them to keep it down? If you're really altering your whole self-image, you think, what am I, Fred Mertz now? What's happening to me? Can I do this? Am I a shusher? I used to be a shushy. There's a lot of shushing going on in movie theaters. People are always shushing. Shh, 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 shh. It doesn't work, because nobody knows where a shush is coming from. They just hear, shh, was that a shush? I think somebody shushed me. Some people you can't shush in a movie theater. There's always a certain group of people, isn't it? They're talking and talking. Everyone around them is shushing them and shushing them. They won't shush. They're the unshushables.
Anytime Jerry talks about being shushed or, being the shushy or the unshushables, it's great. And I love that. I think something about real Jerry is he doesn't like being shushed. So I like that worked its way into the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's is it the engagement when he talks about, I got a real thing about shushing.
Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting too when you look at how he goes from the scene, the subject matter of, when a neighbor is making a lot of noise, into shushing, because you're not shushing a neighbor. You're just telling them to keep it down. But with stand-up comedy, I'm always so impressed when they can take one idea and connect it to a completely different idea, like shushing in a movie theater.
Of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like that's really what the stand-up comedy was the shushing routine. Yeah. And I wonder if he kind of was backpedaling a little bit to somehow tie it into the episode.
He molded it to fit. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, just really well done. Well, what do you say, Vinny? I think we've gone over this enough.
It was rough.
I know. I wonder if it's like a workout for people to listen to this. They're sore by the end of it, sweating like crazy.
Somebody said they listen to us while they work out, and to them I salute you, because I don't know how you could get through a treadmill workout and listen to us two jabber on for 90 minutes. So more props to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, let's get into our ratings, shall we?
Alrighty.
So, what do you think?
Again, another episode that, before we started the show, I probably would have ranked this as one of my least favorite episodes. It's, I think, somewhat forgettable. It's definitely not a classic. I think there's a few memorable lines, like the, boys, and oh geez, I can't even think of another. Maybe just one line. It's weird how some episodes don't have a lot of classic material to it, but when you really sink your teeth into it like we are, you find out it's actually quite an excellent episode, I think, especially for the earlier stuff. And we're getting a new writer's voice on the show from Peter Melman, which I think is just fantastic. It's going to be tough as the show goes on to rank your favorite writers, but he is obviously one of the best. He sticks around for the entire show, and it's really cool to see his first attempt at writing a Seinfeld episode. Props to him. I'm really happy with the balance of characters this episode, more so than other episodes. I can't think of the last episode where every character had a lot of material to work with. Maybe the baby shower. That felt like the last episode. Kramer is involved a lot more, which I really enjoy. Elaine has more to do as well. It just strikes that right balance that I've been looking for quite a while now, I feel, since the baby shower. I did notice, though, also that the scenes, this episode really takes place all in Jerry's apartment for the most part, like whether it's the hallway or his actual apartment. So It doesn't really expand the Seinfeld world. We have like one scene in the diner and one scene at Roxanne's, but it still works. The scenes might run a little bit longer than we're used to. I just noticed that from taking notes.
Right. But
I never once was kind of like, all right, let's move on to something else, more exciting. Like, let's pick up the pace. So, all in all, it's kind of hard to gather my thoughts on this episode because I don't really have much to complain about. I mean, maybe some jokes land, others don't, but all in all, nothing like really annoyed me about this episode or stood out as like one of the weaker episodes of season 2. So I'm going to give this 8 tiny sponges out of 10.
I wonder what you're going to use for a ranking system when we get to the sponge episode.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be 8 today sponges.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. Something about this episode, it just didn't do it for me. And I didn't not like the episode, but I didn't love it. So I was watching it, taking notes, and it was just kind of, I don't want to say bland, but it didn't do it for me. Harold and Manny, like I said, I didn't mind them, but they didn't do it for me. I do love his line of "it was horrifying," but and the storylines were what the funny thing is, I think I like how the story came together and how Peter Melman was hired. I love that stuff. But the story itself, it just there was something about it that it didn't work. It didn't.
I know what you're saying here.
What
like
I'm getting at,
because I feel like we're pretty close. I don't know your ranking of this episode yet or your rating, but I feel like we're coming at this from this like 2 different sides, but we're meeting somewhere in the middle where I wouldn't label this a classic episode, nor would you.
Yeah.
There's nothing like really wrong with it per se, but like it's not a bad episode, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. I really like all of not all of them. I like the characters' storylines. I don't really care for Kramer's with the moose. Mm-hmm. That doesn't really do it for me. But I like the issues that Elaine and Jerry have to tackle, and I really like George's experiment with the wedding band. Mm-hmm. But I find myself, I tend to enjoy the episodes that are more George centric, where George has a big monologue or something where George is really central to the story. Those ones really work for me. So far, we've always seen Jerry kind of be the straight man. Just like this episode, he doesn't really have anything too outlandish. I guess we leave that to George in this one. But there's something about it that I guess I couldn't get into it. Maybe it's just because I was tired this week. And I'm just gonna say this right now, guys. My energy was really low during this episode, so I'm so sorry, and I promise I'll be more rested.
Oh, get out
next
of here!
Week, so please bear with me. No, I know it was crap. Don't. This is not gonna be the norm. I'm gonna have a B12 shot next week. So please bear with me. I'm sorry. Having said that, I'm gonna give this episode 7 shushes out of 10.
Wow, is this our biggest gap in scores?
No, we're usually one off from each other.
Okay.
I think I'm more generous with my rankings than you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
But going through this one, yeah, I think I always go one above you. I also want to say, though, the only reason I rank a show lower than another one is just to give it a number. And it's not that I don't like. There's not one Seinfeld episode I don't like. Mm-hmm. And if I'm watching, I always like to watch my DVDs in order. Watch every episode in order. There's only one episode that if somebody wanted to turn off, I'd be like, okay, but I'll hold off on which one that is.
And
so I do like this one, but it's just there's other ones I like more. That's all.
And we've teased that episode in the past. We're not going to get to that for at least another 6 months.
Something like that. I don't think anybody cares, but I'm just going to tease it. So. All right.
All right, that's going to do it for us at Seincast. Vinny, why don't you let everyone know how they can get in touch with us?
You can email us at seincast@gmail.com, find us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter @Seincast, where you can keep up to date with our weekly posts about the show and behind-the-scenes trivia.
And also, if you haven't already, please leave us a rating and review on iTunes. The more feedback we get, the more likely other Seinfeld fans will find out about the show. And yeah, that's it. So what episode do we have for next week, Vinny?
We will be discussing the 9th episode of Season 2, The Stranded. And it was originally produced for Season 2, but was postponed until Season 3 because Larry David was unsatisfied with it.
Yeah, I know.
What's that about?
Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be interesting going into technically a Season 3 episode.
Yeah.
Early on, but I think continuity-wise, you'll be confused as to why it was ever in Season 3. But for now, I'm Matt.
I'm Mr. Pocatello.
Signing off. Seinecast is not endorsed by Castle Rock Entertainment, Sony Pictures, or NBC, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The official Seinfeld site can be found at sonypictures.com/TV/Seinfeld. Seinfeld, the Seinfeld logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Seinfeld characters are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Castle Rock Entertainment or their respective trademark and copyright holders.
I love the one they do right after this one.